Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to ChriswithaC. Hope you are doing well. Thank you very much for joining me today. Well, we're getting the Outcast 8S ready for its first maiden voyage, guys. This is the version 2, the RTR. Big shout out to Wheelspin for helping me get hold of the truck, guys. Link in the description to Wheelspin as well. Now, in this video, let's just talk about it. I'm going to be fitting some parts of the truck that I got talking to Avery from M2C. Now, as you know, I've worked with M2C previously on the channel. And I was asking Avery what he thought, what was essential upgrades for this truck. Something to keep the truck running without going overboard. Stuff that he felt that was worth doing. Any upgrades worth doing if you think it's worth doing. Let's get that out of the way. But I wanted to kind of keep the weight down on the truck a little bit, but still add some strength, some durability, that sort of thing. So we got talking. I was toing and froing with him, and obviously we were just having a chat. Next thing you know, I had an email saying I'm going to send you a care package, basically with what I felt was essential for this truck. Now, M2C, guys, big company in the basher market, probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest, and known worldwide. There will be links in the description to M2C. I'm pretty sure you know how to find them anyway. I'll also put some links to their social media and stuff. One thing I will say about Avery and the guys at M2C is they seem to kind of reinvent their parts every time a new truck comes out. They kind of look at it, design some parts, and they're not just generic pieces. They kind of make the part, and to be honest with you, a lot of companies then follow. So I will say that, and no, that's not sucking up to them or anything like that. I genuinely believe that. I have noticed when a new truck comes out, the guys at M2C tend to design something, and then the rest of the market tends to follow. So it's common knowledge that, and I appreciate that as well. So yeah, very renowned when it comes to bashing, and they need no introduction here. Big shout out to Avery and the gang. Thank you very much, obviously, for sponsoring the videos, guys. Right, in this package here is what Avery and the gang have sent over with the M2C parts for this truck. Now, I want to fit them. As you know, this is my own personal truck. I have purchased this with my own cash, and I want to make sure the first run is absolutely awesome. So yeah, hence why there is another part in there that I wanted to add to the vehicle as well. I think the best thing I can do is adjust the camera a little bit better for you guys, and we'll go through the parts, and we'll install them on the video. I won't show you using the parts on the truck in this video, because I'm going to go out and do a first run on this truck on the weekend. So excited to get this one running, honestly. Going to go out and do a first run of this vehicle, and then obviously I can relay the information back on the parts. But what I will do is obviously give you a good showing of the parts they've sent over. I'll show you how to fit them, and we'll go from there. I hope you're enjoying this kind of little series I've done with the Outcast. There's going to be plenty of videos with this, guys, obviously, when I go through it. And yeah, if you're enjoying the content, make sure you hit subscribe. Give me a big thumbs up. I really do appreciate it, because it costs you nothing. It means the world to me. Right, let's dive down and go from there. I'll see you in a sec. Right, guys, okay, so on the table, we have a selection of parts that Avery has sent over. And I've got to say, first things first, straight off the bat here, I would tend to agree with his choice. I was looking at basically what they'd sent over, and being straight with you, I think this is a really carefully selected care package for me, actually, to be honest with you. And this is the difference with a company like M2C. They do watch what's going on the market and the people they talk to, and you guys, and all the feedback and everything else. Now, I'm not saying this video is a one size fits all. If you fit these parts, obviously your truck is going to be unstoppable and things won't break. Things will break. Circumstances change. Conditions change. Where area you run, how you run your vehicles. But for my case use, all right, I've got to say what he's actually picked here does make sense. Really does make sense to me. Now, what these parts are here, now as you know, I'm not a massive sender. All right, so even though I've got an EXB, let's get that out of the way. I'm not a massive sender. I do like crazy trucks on the floor doing stupid things. So I don't tend to send stuff like maybe some of you guys do. And be quite honest with you, I'm not confident in my air control when it comes to the big heavy 8S Arrmas. So, you know, that's me being straight with you. You know, I'm not a heavy basher. Let's say like someone like Aldo Loyal or Rich Super Bash or any of those guys. I am a ground pounder. I enjoy my trucks on the floor. Now, that out of the way, to clarify, all right? These parts are going to definitely help me with the way I run. Now, for instance, this bash plate here is new part that M2C has just brought out. It's essentially a skid plate and also a chassis stiffener, and I'll go into that in a moment. So I think the best thing I can do here is just talk you through it now, okay? So first things first, as you know, 8S Arrma shocks, they have a tendency to either be really good or really bad, and some people complain about them. So they've come up with obviously this shock piston kit, all right, and it does state on their website which way the shocks go around. I believe, let me just check, I think I have got this on my phone, 2 seconds. Let me just open my phone up. But with the shock piston kit, essentially all this is doing is, have I got it written down? Have I got it written down? I think I did. I know I had a page open somewhere. I was looking at the parts. Maybe I haven't. I will go into it in a second. Anyway, yeah, so essentially that is for obviously giving you a better shock movement through the piston. They got with these O-rings as well, and obviously that then will tune your shocks. It will allow the flow of the oil in your shocks to move a lot better, and you get a better sense of the way the truck feels on landing and the way it's driving. It'll be more stable, very nicely done, and I really appreciated those. So the part number for that is 3230 Arrma 8S 20mm O-ring shock pistons. So nice that obviously they've sent that over. The next, guys, lug nuts. Now, the reason why I find these are essential, with these trucks, they weigh, what, I think it was 20-25 pounds in weight. So you've got all that pressure on the wheels. Now, the last thing you want is when you come down, maybe off like a natural landing, or you're driving around, you want the wheel nuts to come off. These are what they call shoe lock nuts. Let me just get you a knife, and I will show you. So the beauty of these is they have a really nicely aggressive pattern on the back of them for cutting into the wheels, which should help you with obviously not losing a wheel nut. So as you can see, you're really nicely machined. M2C logo on the top there, obviously, and then obviously you've got what their pattern shoe lock system. So that is cut into the plastic, so as you tighten it up, that will grip into the plastic of the wheel and obviously keep those wheel nuts from flying away. So there's 4 of those in total, and the part number for that is 1177 24mm shoe lock lug nut for Arrma 8S. I don't know what it is about. I really like a set of wheel nuts. I think it's obviously the tuner part of me, obviously going back to using real life cars. Next up, pillow ball retainers. Now, I've seen loads of people comment on this. Loads of people complaining about the Arrma ones. Where obviously, again, they're coming down, and obviously because they're using plastic hubs, the Arrma ones have a tendency of actually coming off. The issue is obviously as soon as you do that, obviously your wheel will either move or move away. Your drive shaft could pop out. You could damage your drive shaft, or you might not. There's tons of possibilities, obviously, when your pillow balls come loose. The part number for this is 3325 pillow ball retainer kit 8S. They use a Delrin. As you can see, they've actually made a Delrin washer to go in over your pillow balls. That's nice, obviously, so it's better quality to allow a smoother movement on your steering. Again, made out of 7075. I forgot to mention that, guys. T6 aluminium. Really nicely made, all machined, not pressed. So these are actually made out of a CNC machine. You've probably seen the videos of the M2C actually making of M2C making the parts. So we have those. Okay, next up, we'll move on to the big one in a minute. Bell crank system. Now, I was quite surprised, and I mentioned this in the unboxing. I was quite surprised that the bell crank on the 8S Arrmas, considering the size of the vehicle, the torque of the servo, that the bell crank and servo saver kit on there was made out of composite. So I can definitely see the attraction to fitting this into the vehicle. That was something I was 110% going to replace, and I did mention this in my unboxing, so it did surprise me. So the part number for this is 3295. Again, all these are available. If you're in the UK, you can get them from the places like Model Sport and so on and so forth. If you're in America, M2C is everywhere. Lots of model shops stock these parts, and it's easy to get older from M2C. So there's that. Now, the biggie is obviously their new bracing system. So let me just show you this. I will take this out of the bag. Okay. So this is part number 3328. All right, this is their, let me just get it right. Yeah, 3328 Outcast rear skid plate. Now, it isn't just a skid plate, guys. All right. Essentially, what they've done here, as you can see, is the size on it. Again, 7075 T6 aluminium. Is obviously this would sit over the rear diff case here, and I will show you this on the car. Sit over the rear diff case like so, and then your chassis has got all this support right up to the center diff, I believe. All right, so then obviously those parts will allow that. Now, the funny thing is, what they've actually made here as well is, as you know, on the chassis is milled. So underneath at the back, I believe it's here. Yeah, that's right. So underneath at the back, obviously you've got that there. Now, the reason being is on the Outcast chassis, there's actually a part that's milled out. So they have given you a spacer there. They then give you a bracket for the rear hinge pin holder and also the hardware for mounting it. So that's really cool. But yeah, that will keep my chassis straight. It will stop the inevitable chassis bend problem that a lot of people end up having. And yeah, absolutely epic. Really nicely made. I love obviously the M2C logo in there, all embossed, engraved. Well, actually machined out. It's not engraved. But yeah, really nice job. Big shout out to M2C for obviously sending these parts over. Next part, guys, I think what I'm going to do... Oh, yeah, by the way, and I did also purchase some stone guards, so I'm going to fit them on a vehicle, because I don't like the amount of when I had Big Red, the amount of rubbish that was able to get into the truck. Part number for this, Arrma ARA 320473. I've actually bought those myself. So I'm going to clean this off a desk. Let's get the Outcast on the table. We'll start fitting the parts. I'll go through them as I'm talking to you. And yeah, nice and easy upgrade path here. Again, huge shout out to Avery and the gang at M2C. I'll see you in a second, guys. Right, okay, so I have got the truck upside down on the bench, guys. Now, one thing to mention here, you are going to be replacing this skid here, okay? Because obviously this is the stock one. This will be coming off the vehicle. And essentially what you'll be doing is replacing the whole of this part here. Now, the 3228 kit will actually sit underneath like so. And as you can see, what that'll actually do then is, if you look at this, obviously, that's your standard skid plate. What happens here is obviously you've got this part here, this section here, that will suffer with chassis bend should you jump it, that sort of thing. And the other thing is obviously when the truck lands, the back end of here is only protected to this part here, so you do get a lot of scratching around the back end of the chassis here. So with this is going to sit in place. Now it does look, there are 2 extra holes there. I'm going to have to check into that, because I might need to actually make some holes in and screw in. but I will check through the hardware in a moment. But this part of the bumper is going to need to come off. I am going to be needing to put the screws back in. They give you all the correct hardware to do so, and I'll be going from there. But yeah, as I say, huge shout out to Avery and the gang for this. What I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to remove some parts off here 2 seconds, and then we'll go into actually fitting the parts on the vehicle. Right, okay guys, so as you can see, I've removed the rear skid off. This is the part we're going to be replacing there. Obviously I'm going to keep this to keep it safe and tidy. But essentially what's happening on the back here now, okay, is we are replacing, obviously, this section. So what M2C have actually done, they've given you in the kit this 3D printed part that sits in like so. Obviously that is going to sit exactly in the cutout here the chassis has for the skid plate. So that will take up obviously the gap between the skid plate and obviously the top of the chassis. Now this then sits over the top like that, okay, so you've got that there. Now if we open up this one side here, we have a replacement 3D printed rear skid sort of bumper section there. So what happens is that goes on like so. Let me get it out for you. I think I'll put these in first actually, and I'll show you quickly. Nice that obviously they've thought about this the way they have. So there you go. That is now going to sit in like that. So obviously you're going to be replacing your screws here. There you go. And then they actually provide you with the hardware as well, so we're going to put those in. Don't need to crank them up too much. I will get a 2.5 in a minute just to make sure it's on there. She will have a different look to the back of your vehicle, obviously, right? But obviously the whole point of this is to provide a little bit more strength towards the rear of the vehicle. I don't think that's meant to go back on. So yeah, you don't reuse your bumper part there. The idea is this will now sit over the top like so. All right, and then obviously you now screw down into the chassis and fit them in. But yeah. So it's obviously what they've done essentially is redesigned this back part and obviously 3D printed here. So right, I'm going to continue on and I'll come straight back to you in a second. Right, okay guys, to fit this chassis brace, what you are going to have to do here is obviously this plate at the back here. The reason being, all right, is see these holes? You will need to make your own holes for these, okay? So what M2C actually sends you is one locking nut. Now, from what I can gather from the information there, because this back hole essentially goes towards your bulkhead, and this one goes towards your center diff. All right, so I'm going to be using this hole here, obviously, as well as all the other mounting positions, but I'm going to use this hole here because there is only one nylock nut. All right, so I'm going to include that. Now, you will need to drill a hole in your chassis. Don't panic, easy to do. But you are going to need to remove this brace first. So essentially, I'm going to line it up. I'm going to put the screws in, and I'll show you in a second. So I'm going to flip the car over. We're going to put 2 screws, obviously, to hold it in place. Each end, just to kind of mark up the position where I want to drill my hole. I have removed this plate because otherwise you run into the risk of obviously drilling into it. And yeah, we'll go from there. Right, okay, so as I mentioned, guys, what we're going to need to do here is obviously mark up my position to fit that brace. Now, just to make you aware, I am using, by the way, my own screws for the rear of the bulkhead because these are a little bit longer. I did it in a previous video. These are 25 millimeters, and so I'm actually going to put them in there. I'm happy to use my own screws there. It's not that there's anything wrong with the kit they sent over. The screws are definitely long enough, but I just wanted to refit those because I have fitted them previously. Now, I'm going to screw these down just to know it's in place. Obviously you're going to need one there. One there. So this now, let's just tighten that down. So this now will give me my position on my screw hole. All right, so I'm just going to tighten that like so. This is the, as you can see, what happens is here, that's the back of your bulkhead. Here is where your center diff is. I'm going to go for this hole here. Now that corresponded directly with the plate we've just took off. So I took the plate off, but you will have to release the brace system underneath, obviously, to get that plate off. So I'm just going to go and get a drill now. I'm going to get a titanium coated drill bit to get through the aluminium, and then we're just going to drill a little hole through there and then place a screw, and that will give us a little bit of extra support in the center. Right, okay guys, off camera, I did have a little bit of an issue trying to get that center screw in, but it's all done now. Essentially what I had to do was, because of the way I fitted it personally, all right, is obviously I've removed the bracing system. I couldn't get these screws in here, so I had to take it all apart, then get a 7mm spanner in there and try and fit the spanner between the chassis. And anyway, I think I made a pig's ear of it and not M2C there, so I can't really blame them for that. But me personally, I did have a moment there where I started throwing my teddies out of the pram. It's not to say you guys will, it's just me personally. I think I was probably looking at it in the wrong way. Right, now, as I mentioned, I am the only variation from the install here is I am using longer screws in the back of the bulkhead here. I've done a video of this on the channel. It's up to you whether you want to use them. M2C, let's have a look. What size are the screws they've included? They are, where's my calipers? My calipers are, if I knew where they were, guys. There they are. There they are. So, zeroing that out. They are 20mm screws, guys, okay? So they have actually improved the screw length, obviously to compensate for the bash bar. And that's actually a good thing anyway. So we're going to put 20mm screws right the way through. So they supply you with 20mm all the way around. I've gone with 25 at the back of the bulkhead here. You don't have to do this. But me personally, I did a video showing you guys why this would actually be a benefit. So it's completely up to you. Completely up to you, okay? Last two screws, and then we're in the running. We've got the skid plate installed. Now, as I mentioned, what this will actually do now is stiffen up the rear of the chassis. Now, essentially, yes, it is adding weight, but it's adding weight in the right place, e.g., supporting the lower end of the chassis. And fingers crossed, this should stop the chassis bending, should we have any issues. So that is that, guys. That's all the screws in. That isn't going anywhere. Really like the way that looks. Now, as I say, these screws here, I'm not going to put those in. And the reason being is there was only one nylock nut. So I'm not sure if M2C had designed it for different chassis as well. So maybe I've got it wrong. But I will check with Avery and the gang, and I will let you know in the description, guys. So I'm going to tidy up the bench here because we have got some metal shavings here a second, okay? I'm going to tidy up the bench, and then we're going to move on to... What should we move on to? Let's go with the pillar ball retainers on the front. I can get the wheel nuts on, and then we can concentrate on the bell crank. So, okay, before we move on to, obviously, the front end, guys, I just want to show you the difference in the wheel nuts there. So that's the Arrma ones. Yes, the Arrma ones are serrated, but the serrating is very, well, it's not that deep at all. But if you look at the size of the serration on the back of there, and also with it being a closed wheel nut, all right, your stub axle screws are now shielded and away from all the dirt and rubbish. So that is a good thing, obviously, because many times I've gone to go in there and you've got to get in there with a little pick and clean it all out. Sometimes you round off screws. So yeah, really nice. I'm going to add those on the vehicle and I'll show you those in a moment. So I'm just going to quickly add this on the car. I do like the way everything's machined. Really high quality. There you go, and you can really kind of, with these ones, be assured to get some pressure down on them. So let's take you off the camera, 2 seconds. I'm going to pause, bring you around. Okay, so as you can see, this is the shoe lock wheel nuts that M2C have sent over. Really nice looking. And that is, so remember I said to you about getting dirt inside the stub axles. There's a little screw inside there that obviously holds your pin in. So with this, obviously there's no dirt getting in there. Does offer a little bit of support there as well, and obviously that is gripping onto the wheel a lot better. But yeah, really like those, but I'm a sucker for wheel nuts. As you can see, I've got them on all my cars. I've got them all on all my cars, of course I have, but what I'm saying is custom wheel nuts. I use the shore lock system on my Habao SSC. But yeah, I like those. Really nice, really nice. What have I got over there? Yeah, so tons, guys. Right, I'm going to move on to the front end now, guys. Right, okay, so as you can see, the problem is here is obviously inside there, you've got this that pushes against it. Now, the Arrma one, being plastic, has a habit of cracking when the force there is. So with this, obviously, you've got the metal, the holes inside your composite hub, and that will stop it coming apart. Now, as you can see, what will happen is start flapping around. You'll have damage on the front end. If the bottom one came out, obviously that will you got more chance of your drive shaft coming out. But yeah, it's a worthwhile upgrade there. Right, okay guys, so as you can see, I have actually removed the stock ones. The stock ones are terrible, guys. They're really not that good. Why Arrma chose to use a complete plastic on an 8S truck was completely beyond me. So as you can see, obviously you've got the metal and the Delrin. I have fitted them. As I say, there is a tool you can use to fit these. M2C actually sells it. What I tend to do is tighten up until it's tight, and then back it off a turn, not a turn. I normally go quarter of a turn, and that gives me just enough play in the hub. As you can hear, there's a little bit, you can hear it. So that will give me exactly how I want it. So you don't want to do it up too tight, because obviously what will happen is then your steering will be using a lot of its power just to turn the hub on the pivot balls. So yeah, very nice little upgrade. Really strange that Arrma chose that plastic design, but nice to see M2C has gone ahead and got that sorted. By the way, close up of the wheel nuts. Really nice. Right, moving on. Right, okay guys, so pivot ball holders are done, chassis brace is done. Next I'm going to attack the bell crank. I think what I'm going to do here, obviously I'm not going to show you how to take the bell crank and everything apart. We'll get the front end off the car. That's going to be the easiest plan of attack here. I think take the front end off, and then obviously I can get in at the bell crank and start working on it. But yeah, the pivot ball retainers, I think that's going to be an essential upgrade for many of you guys. If you haven't got if you're using the stock ones, as I say, I know I'm keep going on about it, but the fact that Arrma used a composite pivot ball retainer, I was quite shocked by, to be honest with you, because yeah, I mean that wouldn't take a lot to break under heavy bashing. Right, time lapse. Gonna carry on, take the front end off, and then we'll get in towards the bell crank. Right guys, okay, so this is the part we're replacing. M2C part number 3295. That's the bell crank system. As you can see, the stock Arrma one there is actually composite. So we're going to replace this out now. Once I've installed the parts in for you guys, I will come back to you and obviously update you. Yeah, but I mean, there are a few select parts obviously on the car here. As I mentioned, it didn't seem like Arrma was kind of thinking about certain things. But yeah, M2C to the rescue. Let's get those on now. Fingers crossed, it should be a lot better. Right, okay guys, so as you can see, that is the bell crank system there. Big difference in quality. Now, Arrma uses these brass washers here, which they're all right in a pinch. But the only thing I will say is they don't offer the same sort of feel. Literally the machining is absolutely perfect on them posts there, as you can see. So they're going to make hell of a difference on how smooth the steering is for a start, because obviously these will wear out over time, and obviously this will cause play. The other thing is as well is obviously being a composite part. The composite again will wear out, and you'll start getting play in your steering, and you've got more chance of actually breaking that as well. Again, big heavy car. So yeah, definite upgrade. I'm going to put the car back together now, put it back on time lapse. I know it's a long video guys, but fingers crossed obviously you get the gist of it. But yeah, much better. And as you can see, much better design. Now, one thing to mention quickly, make sure you're using some thread locker, obviously for putting the screws back in. Metal to metal, I say it every single video, you want to make sure you're on thread lock in, otherwise that will come apart or your screws will back off. And make sure you put the bearings inside the carrier back in. Right, let's go. Right, okay guys, welcome back. Had a bit of food, gone up and done some work. It's a couple of hours later now, so what I've actually done off camera, so I've taken the front shock towers off, and for good reason. What I wanted to do is record this next part and show you, okay, basically the difference between the shock pistons and stuff like that. Now, what M2C state is obviously the white ones, I believe they are 1.4, or it might be 1.6. I will check that for you in a second. Actually, let me just have a quick look. It's a lot easier if I have a look for you, isn't it? What they're stating is the front ones are, yeah, 1.4. All right, so now what come actually stock front and rear on this 8S Outcast is 1.5 and 1.5. So what they've done essentially is, the reason why they're changing out these is to help with rebound. Now, what happens, and to explain this to you, imagine obviously this is, let's get I tell you what, I've got a little car up here, I'll show you. Like it? So if you imagine you come off a jump, obviously the car comes down on the suspension, so the springs are responsible for obviously absorbing the jump. Now what happens, shock oil, shock pistons, cause the car, how quick the car can recover from the jump then. So you've got obviously the compression is dealt with the shock spring rates, and obviously the ride height and that sort of thing. And then obviously the inside, the oil, the shock oil and obviously the pistons are responsible for how quick the car returns. Now the issue with the Outcast, let me put this back, is as a habit, if you come off a jump or, you know, basically come off something and land, the car kind of kangaroo hops. So what that means is obviously it's coming back too quickly, which causes rebound. So the idea of this kit is to eliminate some of that rebound. Now you can use shock oils and stuff like that, I get it, but what Avery and the guys have done is they've actually tuned the shocks then, as per se. Now very nice kit, obviously, made out of Delrin, the white ones, and I believe obviously the black ones are as well. Good quality. Let me just, I'm going to revert to the other camera now and I'll show you quick. Right, okay, so as you can see, I have the shocks off the front of the vehicle here, guys. So these are the ones I took off. All right, so these, as you can see, quite clearly state 1.5 on the shock piston. So, well, as I say, what M2C have done is the white ones are 1.4, and I believe these rear ones are 1.3. Let me just check for you. I might actually say on there. Let's just have a little look. 1.3. So, while we're out, what's happened is I don't know if you can see that in there, I have put the white ones inside here. I filled the shocks back up with the same shock oil I was already using. And now I'm going to obviously put the shock caps back on, put the fronts on. I'm now going to go ahead and do the rears. Obviously, the idea is obviously to slow the way the car pushes the suspension back down. And the reason being is obviously to stop it kangaroo jumping all over the place. But yeah, part number for this M2C is 3230. I'm going to go ahead and put you on time lapse up there. So there's the other camera there. Put you on time lapse. And yeah, go ahead and fit these O-rings in. And other than that, guys, she is ready to rock and roll. So I have got to, as well, shoe glue the body. So that all needs doing. I'm going to use something called Sticks Like Shit. All right, this is the turbo version, so it dries a little bit quicker. It is nice and warm outside at the moment. So I'm going to go ahead and do that off camera as well. But yeah, we have got, as I mentioned, the bell crank system. We've got the wheel nuts. We've got the shock retainers. The pivot ball retainers in there. When the shocks are all done now, we are ready to finally take this big beast out. I'll be interested to see how this performs, because as you know, I do love my X-Max Ultimate. They've done a lot of work to that. Got my XRT down there. Again, tons of work have been done to that. It's going to be interesting to see what this is capable of. Like I say, I'm not a massive jumper or anything like that. So, yeah, as long as we got it all like this, I'm happy. Right, see you in a sec. Welcome back, guys. Okay, so shock pistons all done all the way around the truck. It does feel really nice, actually, the suspension. Nice and plush. Obviously, the proof is in the pudding, obviously, when I go out and bash it. I'm hoping this is... I've done everything in my power now to actually make this a really positive experience. And big shout out to M2C for sending over the parts to help me. I'm going to test them out. Obviously, I know obviously the upgrades that I put into it today were essential. For example, that bell crank system. It only would have taken one heavy knock on the front, and obviously there being a composite bell crank, even though composite will allow it to flex, the issue you're going to have is obviously that is going to become your weak point. You got metal on each side here. A big thing for me as well was the front pivot balls, as I mentioned over and over again. Why Arrma chose it upon themselves to actually fit pivot ball retainers in composite is completely beyond me. You got them on an 8S truck, you know, obviously metal pivot balls, retainers. So why not fit them in a 8S EXB? You know, this is meant to be there all singing, all dancing. And yeah, just really strange that they never did that. But anyway, we have a solution for that. Wheel nuts, love them. And obviously, turning the truck over is that great big bash bar slash chassis stiffener at the rear. That can only be a good thing. You know, I mean, obviously, two reasons. Outcast and Notorious, they have a habit, obviously, of sitting down on the back end while wheeling. So obviously, the back is going to now protect the rear end of the vehicle. And also, if you're going to be sending it, obviously, to have that extra strength in it, basically from the center point of the chassis to the rear. Again, massive. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and obviously get the bodies reinforced now. I will put links in the description to where you can pick the parts up, guys. Obviously, huge thanks to Avery and the gang at M2C for allowing me to do this video. In the next video, you'll see the first run of this, and you'll also see the parts in use. So, yeah, it's going to be a kind of a first run for many different reasons, actually. So I'll put links, obviously, to the Arrma stone guards as well, if anyone hasn't seen them before. Obviously, that I think that can only be a good thing again. Huge thank you for watching all the videos. All the likes, shares and subscribes go on the channel. Absolutely amazing. I can't emphasize this enough, honestly. The channel is going from strength to strength, guys, and it's all to the power of you. If it weren't for you guys watching the videos and commenting, the channel would be a little bit pointless, if I'm honest with you. What else can I say? Other than that, check the box for more videos. Stay awesome. Thank you very much for watching, and looking forward to running this on the weekend. See you later.